Any questions?
Thank you. I would now like to recognize Mr. Burke for 5 minutes for your opening statement.
Chairman Moran, Chairman Bost, ranking members Blumenthal and Takano. I appear before you today as a Vietnam veteran and the proud president of Vietnam Veterans of America, an organization born not from comfort or consensus, but from necessity. Our motto is simple and it is unyielding. Never again shall one generation of veterans abandon another. That promise was forged by Vietnam veterans who came home to a country that did not know what to do with us. We did not return to parades, gratitude, and too often we had returned to silence. Some questions, even if Vietnam was a real war. We learned quickly that if veterans did not fight for each other, no one else would. So we fought. We fought for ourselves when no one else would. And we won battles many said we could not win. Long before PTSD had a name, Vietnam veterans forced this nation to recognize invisible wounds as real injuries. Long before Agent Orange or toxic exposure were politically safe to acknowledge, we demanded accountability of harms caused in service to this country. There were no playbooks, no large budgets, no convictions, only conviction, perseverance, and the refusal to be ignored. That's how Vietnam Veterans is built. We may not have the largest balance sheets, but our passion is rooted in lived experience and the hard knowledge of what happens when a nation looks away from those they send to war. That is why, although our name reflects one generation, our mission has never been confined to one. We speak today not only for Vietnam veterans, but for all veterans, because we know what abandonment looks like, and we will not allow it to be repeated. Never again shall one generation of veterans abandon another. That history brings me directly to the Vietnam veterans' highest priority, the full accounting of our prisoners of war and those still missing in action. For those who serve, this is not an abstract. These are names not in a database. They are friends we trained with, people we served beside, and we expected them to come home. The promise that no one would be left behind did not end when the battle stopped, and it does not weaken in time. That is why VVA has never wavered on POW M&A accountability for all wars. It is a sacred obligation, not a discretionary program. Reducing budgets for the agencies responsible for recovering our missing service members is unacceptable. It breaks faith with families who have waited decades and with those currently serving who trust their country will not forget them. Accounting for the missing is not about the past. It is about trust. Vietnam Veterans of America also carries the same sense of passion into a cause of our members know all too well, the fight for veterans exposed to toxic exposures. For too many of us, the war did not end when we came home. It followed us. It surfaced years later in our bodies and too often in our families. Vietnam veterans were exposed to Agent Orange long before anyone was willing to admit what it was doing to our bodies. And evidence now demands serious research into toxic exposure may affect spouses and biological descendants. This fight is not limited to one generation. Vietnam veterans have stood with all veterans that have been harmed by toxic exposure, including those suffering from the Gulf War illness, whose symptoms were dismissed for far too long. We push for recognition because we know exactly what happens when denial replaces accountability. This nation must fully accept its responsibility to every veteran harmed in service, and the Vietnam veterans will continue to speak about this. And this brings me to what deeply veterans must never be used as political leverage. No veteran should ever be helped or ignored because it is politically convenient. Care must never depend on party loyalty, polling, or legislative timing. When veterans become bargaining chips, progressive stops, trust erodes, and real people pay the price. Vietnam Veterans of America did not pick sides. We pick outcomes, and we will work with anyone, of any party who is serious about delivering results for those who served. Vietnam Veterans of America will continue working across the aisle on a wide range of legislative issues. We look forward to working with both committees and every member willing to engage in good faith. We will offer our expertise directly to any office wherever it is helpful, because results matter more than credit. Before I close, I must ask how a nation that asks so much of its service members can accept so many will die from suicide, sleeping in the streets, or fall apart in transition once the uniform comes off. How do we explain that the danger does not end when the service is over, be that in combat or any area of other service? How can we accept the danger continues in paperwork in silence? These veteran losses are mostly caused by delay, diffusion of responsibility, and the excuse of complexity. And when systems fail to act, veterans pay the price with their lives. These are our people. They stood watch, they carried the burden, and they deserve urgency. They do not deserve explanations about why help must wait. Vietnam Veterans of America will not accept a system that saves resources while it costs lives. Vietnam veterans taught this nation something important, that progress does not come from waiting to be invited. It comes from showing up, from telling the truth, and from refusing to go away. That is who we are, and that is what we continue to be as long as we have breath in our bodies. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.